Happy Halloween Eve.
Happy Halloween Eve. Is that right?
I feel like you have to have an exponent over the eve. Like square it.
What is that?
An exponent?
Is that a math thing?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I thought that was called...
Just stop it. You're thinking of subscript from...
I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not. But yeah, exponent. That's a little mini number.
A fly just came right out of my hat. Am I dirty?
Are you that guy from Charlie Brown who just...
Pigpen? I just was like, what's buzzing around my face? And I was like, oh my God, I'm a dumpster fire. Anyway, happy Halloween Eve.
Listen,
If I'm allowed to smell like the dead right now, apparently. Actually, I really don't smell. I swear to God, I don't. The flies just think I do.
Oh, I smell.
Oh, well, you really do smell. Christine today made us like a gourmet dinner.
Yeah, right.
In a house that doesn't have AC. And
104 degrees.
104 degrees outside today before she started cooking.
I don't know why I did that.
It was so good, though.
I actually do because I locked myself out of my house last night and I was like, you're the only one with the spare key. And then was working on notes. So Allison had to drive in like her pajamas to
She keeps saying that she's not our intern, but like she keeps doing weird errands in the middle of the night for us.
I mean, that's what she's here for.
I know. For someone who resigned, she's still doing things.
So
but anyway,
why I made you dinner.
Allison was also really nice last night because I did tell her, I'm only coming over to borrow your computer because I have to finish my notes. And then you said, I got a text from Christine being like, I'm really sorry and I'm a piece of garbage, but I'm going to need you to come to my house. And I was like, oh my God, I hate you.
Oh, yeah.
and especially because I was down to like 20 pages of notes out of 73. Because I'm well researched, as you can tell every week by my note taking.
Oh, sure.
You would think, right? By like 73 pages of notes, I would know what the fuck I'm talking about.
You should just submit those 73 pages as like a PhD
or
dissertation.
Just as proof. I should just post that on Facebook every week and be like, look, I tried. Somewhere in the podcast, you will find what is in these pages.
Like little highlighted notes.
Uh-huh. But so, anyway, I was telling Allison I still have 20 notes to go and it's like 10 o'clock at night. I didn't have time to go give you the key. And so she just got in her car and went.
She's a gem.
She's a gem.
And then I was like, come inside. I have something for you. And then I walked into the kitchen and realized I'd already drunk all the wine I had. And I was like, just kidding. I don't, but come back tomorrow. So then today I was like, hi, I have wine. Drink it right now.
And then I showed up and she was like, I have dinner, eat it. And it was so good. I had like, I think thirds and fourths. It was so good.
I just felt so bad, but here we are.
Here we are. Also, no happiness yet because, I also want to make sure everyone knows that as soon as I got to the house, Gio welcomed me and I gave him a big fat hug and I was like, what is that smell? And then I went over to Christine to be like, I think he rolled in garbage or poop or something. And she was like, oh, it was a dead animal. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks.
I mean, one time Em and I caught him eating an entire dead bird's body. So I feel like this shouldn't be a surprise. But
that's true. I remember Christine was like, Gio, what do you have in your mouth? And when he looked up, there was literally a bloody talon hanging out of his mouth.
A fucking talon with claws on it.
With like, and skin, like bird skin.
And
it was
feathers.
absolutely a bird foot.
And then all of a sudden we just heard crunch. And we were like,
and then about 10 minutes later, he licked me inside my ear. Couldn't get away from it.
Welcome to my house.
Anyway, guys, happy 39th.
Have we scared 39th
episode?
Oh, I thought you meant like of October.
Oh, the 39th of October.
I thought you meant like the 31st.
Where Christine doesn't know exponents and I don't know calendars.
The 39th. Happy 29th.
Happy negative 8th of November.
Listen, I don't know what's happening. I'm still wearing my Mack Weldon sweatpants.
I thought you were going to say your Mack Weldon underwear.
Oh, no, that information is not privy to you.
But I mean, I would have not blamed you either because it is still the most comfortable underwear that I've ever worn.
So I've heard. And so Blaze has told me as I gave him that wonderful gift of underwear.
I'm assuming your sweatpants are also equally as comfortable since you're still wearing them.
They are incredible and they are my favorite piece of clothing.
Also thankful, at least some of Mack Weldon's clothing is also antimicrobial. So, it doesn't smell. Well, hopefully that's your sweatpants too.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, you haven't changed since the last ad, so.
Fair point. Touche. The best part of Mack Weldon is that they want you to be comfortable, which we obviously are. So if you don't like your first pair, you can keep it and they'll still refund you. No questions asked.
They also believe in smart design and premium fabrics and simple shopping. So at least you feel good about yourself, even though you're a mess.
You keep looking at me every time.
There's someone else in this room to look at. We're going to look at Gio and his Mack Weldon underwear.
We might as well, maybe if they come out with a dog line. But
perfect.
Mack Weldon underwear is perfect for working out, going to work, going out on dates, everyday life, whatever you busy, popular people do in your free time.
Hopefully you're better than us, but hopefully you also still wear Mack Weldon because it's classy and it's nice and it does feel really, really good. It's very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
If you want your own Mack Weldon, go to mackweldon.com and get 20% off using our promo code DRINK.
Our promo code is DRINK.
It always is.
It always is.
It's always DRINK.
It's always DRINK. It's mackweldon.com, 20% off using promo code DRINK.
Drink.
I have some things for you.
I'm ready.
Okay. So we want to say I got back from my trip to Cincinnati where I ate some wedding cake and saw Fall Out Boy and did some cool shit.
Oh yeah, this is the other side of prediction day. Now tell me how it really went.
You're right. It was fucking amazing. And I saw Fall Out Boy and my friend got me tickets that were so fucking close that we were probably 20 feet away from my husband, Patrick Stump.
Right.
So that was great. And then we picked a wedding cake. We saw the venue. It was amazing. I saw my baby little sister who had a Harry Potter engagement party for me.
Tell them about the sorting hat thing that your 12-year-old sister, the genius, created on her own.
She decided we had to put on a sorting hat, put on a blindfold, and then get balloons thrown at her face. And then whichever color we caught was the house we were in. Because she was working on like a personality quiz and then she just gave up because like she has my genes. So she was like halfway through that and then she's like, let's just throw balloons and see what happens.
You know, it would have been better if you got her to low-key also be the wedding planner and just have her blindfold people and randomly catch balloons to figure out where they're sitting at the reception.
Gold.
There it is.
Is she listening? Probably not. But Mom, if you're listening, probably not. But if you are, throw it at her.
I can't wait till she's at least nearing 21 and we get a picture of her sitting in a castle of boxed wine.
Cannot wait.
Can't wait.
She's
gonna be you.
She already sneaks wine. And I'm like, even at that age, I didn't drink anything.
What a little badass.
Yeah, she's 13 now and she'll like... my mom was like, I have this like Moscato in the fridge and I'm not usually like a Moscato drinker, but she's like, it's really good. You should try it. And my sister goes, no, really, sissy, it's so good. You should try it. And I was like, wait. And my mom's like, well, I let her taste it. I'm like, stop, Renata. Like,
let's put it this way. If Christine wasn't drinking Venn and drinks like this now, can you imagine what her sister will be like if she's already starting?
Listen, her podcast is going to be so good.
Get ready for the spinoff. Everyone's doing reunions, right?
Yes.
So we just got to...
Like a Full House revisited.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going to have a spinoff reunion in 10 years, your sister will literally be perfect age.
What are you drinking?
Nothing.
Okay. Maybe you should like count to 3.
What? Okay. Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
1, 2, 3.
Hey, look at that magic. Here comes non-intern Allison with a literal milkshake.
Thank you. Is there a reason why I didn't make this? What's happening? Thank you.
Does it taste good?
Yeah, it tastes like a chocolate milkshake.
Okay, good.
I'm confused. What's happening?
We wanted to surprise you.
Oh, thank you. I don't get a kiss?
God.
Close your eyes, Christine.
This is
1, 2.
1, 2, 3.
this
Thank
is
you.
workplace harassment.
Wait, whoa. I don't know what's happening here.
Listen, this is what's happening. This week, I got back from Cincinnati and we got a bunch of packages. And Blaze went and picked them up because he's also kind of our intern. Mm-hmm. And we opened them when Em and Allison picked me up from the airport. And someone sent us, an anonymous gifter sent us a milkshake maker and an electric wine opener.
Both true.
Both true. And it was in one package and we were so excited. We posted the photo and someone said we looked like kids on Christmas.
I actually jaw dropped and didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I was so floored. I was like, no way. Especially because, I'm sure this is the actual reason why, but I've said it in past episodes that Christine lives far away now, so I can't have my milkshakes.
Yeah.
So that's resolved.
So literally when Em came over, I had bought a bunch of ice cream and like chocolate syrup and stuff. And then Allison came over and was like, okay, I brought a bunch of chocolate, ice cream, and milk and whipped cream. And I was like, oh shit, we both brought like.
So now I'm just fully stocked for a while, huh?
So we have so much ice cream, milk, chocolate syrup, and whipped cream in the fridge and freezer for you.
That's awesome.
And going off that, we also got NutriBullets from our friend Jacqueline.
Oh, Jacqueline?
But like Jack, J-A-C, because she's cool and hip.
Oh, damn. Well, thank you, Jacqueline.
I know. Yeah, the NutriBullets are great too because those are like epic blenders.
They're like milkshake makers for other food besides ice cream.
Yeah, they're like milkshake makers plus more. Mm-hmm. So those are great.
It's like milkshake makers 3.0.
Exactly. And then we also got, we just got so much cool stuff and you guys are so thoughtful.
You guys are way nice to us. Also, we got Dana.
Yeah, Dana sent us like a Halloween package.
Dana sent us a Halloween package, a box full of ghost-themed treats.
And for Gio.
And like snacks that I have personally mentioned on the show, like my Sausalitos and my Milanos. Both were in there.
And then we got a mysterious box that said alcohol on a big sticker. So obviously that was for me. And I
just let Christine open that one.
I opened it and it was a big bottle of Barefoot sweet red wine. So I don't know who sent that. There wasn't a name, but thank you. And then Allison sent us some Halloween body cream and some products. And we got those paranormal books from Leslie Fear. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading.
Those are awesome.
They're really good. I'm reading it right now. We also got a package from Alicia at Witch's Bath.
Okay.
It's an Etsy shop. It's etsy.com/witchesbath. And it's in Columbus. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Etsy.com/shop/the Witch's Bath. I'm 8,000 years old and I can't read. So, okay, these are what we got. So she sent us 2 of each. So there's
should I look yet? Should you just put it all out on the table?
Yeah, I'll give you like the main gift afterward. But, okay. So we got a rainbow soap.
I love it. I'm going to consider this LGBT themed.
That's what I thought.
I'm going to assume that's why she gave us the rainbow
And we each got one, so it's like cool. Like we each get
like ally and like I'm part of Alphabet Soup. So
I'm just like the last letter and you're like, yeah, I'm way in them somewhere.
Yeah, like I'm way in the front.
Yeah. Red Velveteen bath bomb and it's like a skull.
Oh, neat.
That's cool.
I bet it like looks like it's bleeding when you throw it in the water.
Ooh, it probably is all red. You're right. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Okay, now this is the best part.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, she forgot to put the note in, so she emailed us the note.
Wonderful. She sounds like she's one of our people.
She's just I know, she's like, I got too excited. I was like, story of my life. This is a limited edition thing that she created for us.
She created it for us?
For us.
Shut up.
Limited edition. We each get one.
No.
And that's why we drink Ouija Bath Bomb. And it says...
Shut the fuck up.
Look at it. It has like the Ouija board.
It's literally a Ouija... Is it soap?
It's a bath bomb.
And it has a label and everything of it, and that's why we drink
like
Ouija.
An official label.
Oh my God. This is so cool.
So that's another thing we got. Anyway, you guys have just sent us so much cool shit, and I'm so thankful.
I can't believe you guys want to be that nice to us. You don't have to.
We act like literal kids on Christmas every time.
Every single time.
So thank you. Also, I just want to say real quick, I called our listener Marilyn Marlin, like probably like 3 times.
Nice. You're an asshole.
I called her like a fish, like Marlin, even though her name's pronounced like Marilyn, like an actual name. So I apologize, Marilyn.
Sorry, girl.
Sorry, girl. I also want to say real quick that I have been kind of behind on responding to emails because we have gotten so many lately and you guys are sending in so many amazing stories that I've just been kind of caught up and I've been trying to respond to all of them, but I start Nickelodeon on Monday, so I'm a little worried that I might not be able to respond to every single email. So I promise you that I'm reading every single one and saving every single one, but I might not necessarily respond to every single one from now on just because I'm so swamped that...
Well, also, I'm now finally getting to be involved on the behind-the-scenes part of the podcast, and I'm going to be taking over some of the emails, so you guys will finally be getting my responses on things, not just Christine's.
Yay.
So now it's a toss-up. You don't know who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be helping out. I'm going to be doing some other stuff too, but when it comes to emails, just a heads up, it's not always Christine anymore. It's a surprise.
Ooh.
A trick or treat, if you will.
Could be Gio. It could be M.
It might be Gio rolling around on the laptop after rolling around on a dead body. Which is very, like, crucial to the theme of our podcast, by the way. So
valid.
He might as well.
He's sending you corpse remains. Mm-hmm. So since this is a Halloween episode, we might be going a little long on the intro, but it is a ghosty update, so I want to include it. I mentioned last week that I got a pendulum, remember?
Yeah.
And a bunch of people posted, like, wait, so did Christine just say, oh, she contacted a dead spirit and then, like, move on?
And, like, ignored it.
Like, was that a joke? Here's the thing. I went home to Cincinnati.
Oh
Actually,
my God.
Em doesn't know this either yet.
I don't know. I was told I'm not allowed to know until we were recording.
It's an update.
We're all finding out together.
So I went to Cincinnati and I was like, oh, I'm going to bring my pendulum. And I'm like, Mom, look at this cool pendulum I got. And my mom and I have always believed that my great-grandmother is at our house in Cincinnati. And to add to it, my house was built in 1890 and we live on a cemetery, and it's a Jewish graveyard, and it's really, really big.
You were just asking for this podcast 25 years ago, 26 years ago.
And I never saw shit, you know.
That's wild.
But yeah, so I brought it home and I was like, look, Mom, look what I have. And so I'm like, look how it works. And of course it's like working, and I'm like, wow, I can use it and talk to people, spirits who are here, whatever. I didn't think about it. Then I was messaging with this woman named Taylor, who's wonderful. And she mentioned something about a pendulum, and I was like, can you help me? I don't know what I'm doing. So she's a listener, and she helped me so much and sent me so many tips and advice. And she basically said, like, try not to use it to talk with the dead. That's usually not a good idea. And I was like, oh, too late.
This is exactly why I tell you not to fucking play with Ouija boards, because you don't know what you're doing.
But she said she said Ouija boards are safer because you can close out and say goodbye, whereas a pendulum is more like you just invite it there and then, like, leave it. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
All right.
Anyway, not that she'd probably condone me using a Ouija board, so.
Probably not.
So I used it and I was like, okay. And then we went to bed, and the next morning I set it on the living room table, and the next morning we came downstairs and we were watching TV, and Blaze kind of like picked it up and it was laying on the table, and he's like kind of swinging it, and I was like, it looks funny. And I picked it out of his hand and I was like, holy shit, the whole tip is broken off.
Oh, of a rock. It's a rock at the tip, right?
It's like a full crystal.
It can't just fall off.
It's like an amethyst. It's like a full crystal. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, the tip is gone. And he goes, no, like that's what it looked like. I was like, no, that's not what it fucking looked like. So I'm on the ground and I'm like crawling around the carpet, and I finally find the tip of it a few feet away. And it's just like on the ground. So I super glued it together, but I was like all freaked out because I was like, well, I talked to who I thought was my great grandmother, blah, blah, blah. So I messaged Taylor and I was like, so I did the opposite of what you told me to do.
Oh no.
And I contacted a spirit.
Honestly, if she listens to this podcast, she should have not been surprised. She should have been like, well, yep, that's exactly what was gonna happen, I guess.
Yeah, so she responded and was like, well, she goes, actually, I have a lot of pendulums where they break off. And I was like, really? And she basically said that whether it's good or bad energy, if it's just really strong energy, a lot of times they'll like hold on so tight that it'll break.
Oh, good. Spirits are just so strong they can crush rocks right in front of your eyes. That's neat. So
I was like, well, and she goes, if you still feel like positive connection to the pendulum, then it's a good thing, and it means it's still like connected to you.
It's like a ghost's way of thinking we're so cute they just want to squeeze us until we break.
Yeah, like we talked about.
Yep.
It's like me with Gio.
Yeah, except you won't break his little nose or anything.
I mean, I let him roll around dead animals, but yeah, so she was like, honestly, it doesn't mean a bad thing necessarily. It usually just means, and she said she has one pendulum that just always breaks, and she'll just like fix it and it'll break because it's the one where she contacts like really strong spirits who have a lot of energy. And she says that sometimes it just happens. So I felt pretty good. I was like, maybe it's, and I thought I was talking to my great grandma, and I've always felt like she was there. So I was like, maybe that's who it was.
Oh.
She said whenever she contacts her godmother, her pendulum cracks because it's like such a strong energy.
Crazy.
So anyway, that's my update.
All right.
Anyway, now tell me a story because I'm just like getting emotional.
Here's my story. I've wanted to do this story for a while. But I wanted to wait until it was closer to Halloween. And since the 29th is the closest, we're going to get to the 31st.
You mean the 39th?
I think I said the 37th. Oh, the 39th. I did say 39th. So anyway, since it's October 39th, I'm going to do it.
I'm so excited.
So this was the inspiration for the Exorcism of Emily Rose. And it is the same demons that were involved with future victim Anna Eklund.
Oh my God. Okay. The Exorcism of Emily Rose is the only horror movie I watched as a child aside from The Ring. Oh. And The Exorcism of Emily Rose, that movie screwed me up for life. So this
Not
is great.
sinister?
I mean, that was like I took so much melatonin that I got knocked out. But
so this is also considered by priests one of the truest proofs of demonic possession that we have so far in history. Which is weird because I will preface it by saying I think Anna Eklund was more convincing. But maybe because since Anna Eklund comes later in life.
Yeah.
Maybe, or does she come later? Whoever came first, I don't really remember. Someone else figure that out.
So 73 pages of notes and M doesn't know.
No, I remember the years of this and I don't remember the years of Anna Eklund.
I don't either, to be honest.
Whatever. Okay, the same people are involved. So we're going to quiz you on that later. Good luck. Okay, so, and the girl's name is German, so you're going to have to help me with it.
I was like, what a unique name.
Her name is German.
I was like, why didn't my parents name it? Okay, what's the name?
Anneliese.
Oh, Anneliese.
Anneliese. So, Anneliese?
Anneliese.
Anneliese.
Yeah. Or Anneliese, I guess, is the...
So, Anneliese is what I'm going to call her because I'm ignorant.
No, that's right.
So she was born in an extremely devout Catholic family where the family was like crazy strict, crazy conservative. So their beliefs were that like reformations of the Vatican were to be ignored. You like follow like the original rules.
Oh, shit.
There was no simple atonement for sin. No one could not. Basically, they just were really strict and very devout.
It was all Latin.
Probably.
Yeah.
They probably just shouted Latin to each other all the time.
Definitely.
They were just like, Cornelia.
Puella est. What is
Un pictura es un puella nomine Cornelia.
That is so strict.
I'm just saying.
I can't imagine.
It's very old school, though. Mm-hmm. So her symptoms of possession, because we're just going to dive into it.
Do it.
Began in 1968 at age 16.
Oh, fuck.
Her first symptoms were spontaneous convulsing. So she was given... I guess that was her like main first symptom. So she was given medication for epilepsy, although it never seemed to work no matter what drug she took or what dosage she took. Her body would become rigid out of nowhere and she would feel an enormous weight on her chest. She described mild paralysis and she had an inability to speak every now and then.
Oh.
She would also go into trance-like states where she wouldn't remember anything, but she would wake up and feel someone who wasn't there sitting on her chest. And then she would feel her own bladder squeeze itself, making her wet the bed.
What?
So she would just like pee the bed, and she like, even if she tried to hold it in, she could feel her bladder like working against her.
Oh.
She was then sent to a psychiatric hospital where she remained for about a year, but she started seeing demonic faces during her daily prayers. And she was quoted saying, "I see devil faces on the wall. They have 7 crowns and 7 horns." Later, evil voices began to start giving her commands, told her she was damned and that she was going to stew in hell. She also developed an aversion to all religious items. Typical.
Standard.
Classic Kevin.
Classic Satan.
Classic Anneliese.
Classic Anneliese. I mean, like...
If I told her once, I've told her a million times.
Get it together.
So she told doctors what was going on, but they didn't really believe her about any of it, and they just put her on heavier meds. But over time, things got even worse. But falling back on her faith, she believed that these weren't medical symptoms, but spiritual of something else.
No.
And she said the medicine was not helping, and she begged for an exorcism. But she was given more meds for various types of psychoses.
Yikes.
The meds, once again, did nothing. and her behavior got more erratic. So she would start standing in the middle of the floor and peeing and defecating. And then she would lick it up.
No.
She would eat coal. She would eat bugs. She would rip her clothes off in front of anybody when they started speaking about God. She would scream for hours while breaking crucifixes, destroying paintings of Jesus, and pulling apart rosaries. She would fall to her knees and then rise. She was doing genuflections repeatedly hundreds of times a day until she broke her own kneecaps and laughed.
What? Wait, whoa. Okay.
It was known that she would do up to 600 genuflections a day, breaking her own kneecaps and laughing about it. And then the next day she would keep doing 600 more on broken kneecaps.
Listen, knees, torsos, and Achilles heels, enough. I can't do it.
Gross.
And spines. Spines are the worst.
Oh, I didn't realize how much I hated spines until you said spines.
I can't breathe. Why are you doing this?
Okay, so anyway, we were talking about...
God damn it, Em. Now I'm just sweating so much.
Spines really suck. Also teeth. The whole body, really. Let's talk about something not as scary, like the devil.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Oh yeah, she was breaking her kneecaps. One night at the dinner table, her hands also grew twice the size and darkened until they were black.
What?
Another time, she tried to stand... Oh, no, this is multiple times. This is a recurring thing. She would try to stand up and she would get shoved down by an unseen force in front of everyone. Like, people would just see her getting knocked the fuck down. And she would be unable to move or get back up because someone was holding her down. And then if she finally did get back up, you could see her, like, get shoved. Like, she couldn't act it. Like, you could see the force hitting her.
Oh.
After they were shoving her down so often, she started to learn how to fight back. So she kept trying to be able to get up. But... she was never able to catch herself. So every time she got up, they would just shove her before she could break her own fall. And so she kept landing on her face and her head.
Oh.
She would try to spread quilts and pillows on the floor. Like, she would try to spread them out on her bedroom floor. So that way, when she knew she'd fall eventually, she'd at least land on quilts and pillows.
That's so sad.
But they would pull the blankets and pillows away from her as she was falling. So she would watch them get ripped away just so her head would hit the stone floor again.
What the hell?
While on pilgrimage with a family friend, the family friend said that she refused to drink water from a holy spring and apparently smelled, quote, hellishly bad. So she took her to priests where they suggested she get an exorcism. Imagine smelling so fucking bad that you have to take someone to a pile of priests and be like, exorcise her.
Listen, I don't have to imagine. I'm pretty fucking sweaty.
So it took forever for anyone to actually allow an exorcism, not just because it's already rare to get them, but this was 1975. So the year before, The Exorcist came out. And so a lot of false claims were going out.
Totally. People were probably all over that.
A lot of people were either faking symptoms to try and get exorcised just because it was a novelty, or a lot of people were hypochondriacs and assumed that they were being possessed when they probably just had some other issue.
It was like a zeitgeisty thing.
Mm-hmm. Also, this was a time in the mid-70s when religion was slowly on the decline and science was finally being taken seriously. And so, especially in the 70s, that was when psychiatry was like finally getting its name on the ground.
#Mindhunter.
#Mindhunter. And so priests were under great pressure from the scientific community to actually be able to prove if there was a possession or not, because they were starting to find like medical reasons for things. And especially in psychiatry, they were really finding behavioral reasons for things besides just falling back on religion.
Sure.
So it was even harder than usual to get an exorcism approved. But in 1975, the bishop finally allowed it, saying that they would be using the Ritual Romanum of 1614. Which,
oh, yeah, that one.
Well, that was original. That back then, that was still a valid canon law. So remember, I told you that in 1999 the rules changed for exorcisms. So it changed from the Ritual Romanum of 1614 to a new updated version, which is now what people use.
That's insane. That's hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yes, so through the 70s, through the 1970s, people were still using the exorcism rites of the 1600s,
which is like
the early 1600s, like literally 15 years like closer than the 1500s.
Which is like when witch trials and shit happened. So it was
Before, it was 1614.
holy shit.
Weren't the witch trials
Salem.
1690s?
Yeah, they were like late 1600s.
Yeah, so this is like 70 years before the witch trials.
Woof.
So, so that they were using the original rites for an exorcism. And they wanted to give these types of cases some scientific context so people at the time would actually pay attention to them. So they made sure to record everything. Mm. When, so the pastor and the priest who took on this case, his name was Father Renz, R-E-N-Z.
Okay.
And when he agreed to meet her, she was speaking in a very masculine, guttural voice, which, by the way, rude if she's just a little more masculine than normal.
Like, that doesn't mean she's a fucking demon. Whatever.
Oh, she just sounds a little burly. So she was speaking in a masculine, guttural voice, but it was definitely not her own, according to her parents. He gave a test to kind of see whether or not this was legitimate, and in his head gave a mental command to her that basically his thought was, withdraw from her, say who you are. And from across the room, she looked at him and in that deep voice said no, and then ran towards him and ripped off his rosary. So, and she hadn't been speaking to him before this. That was the first time she talked to him. So Ed Warren, of Ed and Lorraine Warren, the demonologists, he has been known, I just got this quote just to give some reference, that if a negative spirit is strong enough to touch something as religiously powerful as a rosary, that means they're crazy, extremely powerful. Because they're supposed to not be able to touch relics, or they're not supposed to be able to go near relics.
Right, they're supposed to be like repelled.
Yeah, and so the fact that this one was able to go up and grab it off of a priest.
That's really fucked up.
Ed Warren said, only the most menacing and blasphemous of entities would dare to touch them. If it can do that, it's extremely powerful.
Oh, no.
So Father Renz agreed to do the exorcism with Pastor Alt assisting him.
Okay.
So the two of them worked weekly, and they would chain her down and perform the rite of exorcism and documented each session by recording.
Like
tapes.
audio?
Yeah, like tape cassettes. On the tapes, you can hear different voices coming from her, various growls from various ranges of various timbres. Anneliese claimed to see demons jumping around her and dancing on the floor in front of her and poking the priests. And her eyes would literally become black and fiery and filled with hatred.
Oh, my.
She was strong enough to fight off all of them and had the strength of several men. And during these sessions, they discovered that many demons were trying to possess her body, including
Beelzebub. Lucifer.
Yeah. And Judas. Cain, who killed his brother. Mm-hmm. Nero, a random fallen priest.
Not Nero, like who fiddled while Rome burnt, like a different Nero.
Oh, I don't know.
# Latin class.
A fallen priest from the 16th century.
What the?
And Hitler.
Shut the fuck up.
Hitler was possessing her with all of them.
Listen, I don't want Hitler to have like the status of being a fucking demon.
Fun fact, Judas explained through her body, explained to the priests that nobody in hell actually likes Hitler because all he does is brag.
I'm sorry, what?
So even the demons don't like him.
Okay, that's a little better, but wait, so Judas said this through her body? Mm-hmm. The fuck?
Yeah, it was just like, we don't like Hitler. Like, we're all willing to possess this body together, except Hitler. Like,
he can't sit with us.
Hitler can't sit with us.
Hitler doesn't even go here.
On Wednesdays, he doesn't even wear pink.
No, probably fucking not. God damn, that's fucked up, dude.
So then.
Oh, there's more.
Of course, naturally, Anneliese also spoke several different languages during these rituals and would telekinetically move furniture around the room during sessions to distract them from finishing the rite of exorcism.
That's nice.
She would have total opposite behaviors where sometimes she would be so violent that she would throw her own head through a window, but other times she would look out the window and hum religious music. So there was no way to predict her behavior. She would perform up to 600 daily genuflections, like I said.
I can't.
And was so weak from not eating that her parents would help her. like help like stand her back up.
They weren't like, stop kneeling on your broken kneecaps.
Well, also they're so devout that they think that by her doing genuflexion, she's trying it all to keep the demons away.
Oh no.
And I said she wasn't eating because she had refused entirely to eat, although she said originally she was not eating because she said that the demons wouldn't allow it. But by this point, through the exorcisms, she's now not eating by her own choice. She said that she just didn't want to eat anymore. And it led to pneumonia.
Oh, fuck.
So she also has pneumonia during this.
Great.
One night, another priest, Father Roth, came to visit and opened one bottle of tap water and one bottle of holy water behind his back to see if either of them did anything to her.
Uh-oh.
Anneliese came from across the room and she got shoved out of her own chair first by an invisible force, got shoved out of her chair.
Fucking rude.
And even though she's so weak that she can't stand at this point because she hasn't been eating for weeks, literally weeks, she has had no food. So she can't even stand up.
Yeah.
And she was able to leap over her chair, run at him, grab the open bottle of holy water and threw it at him. But the bottle stopped in midair and floated directly down to his feet. And 3 different priests were there to verify this. Yeah.
Wait, so what is the...
Like she could sense that there was holy water behind his back. And since he had opened the bottle, she jumped over her own chair that she got knocked out of by Lucifer, I guess. Sprinted towards him, grabbed the open bottle of holy water only, not the bottle of tap water, and then tried to throw it at him. But it stopped midair and then floated down to her feet.
The fact that it was holy water, it was like...
No, the fact that she's a demon and she can stop something in midair.
Oh, so she did it on purpose?
Yeah, like she's throwing something and it should continue its flight.
But wouldn't she want it to hit him?
Yeah, but it's even scarier when something you threw at so many miles an hour is now stopped dead in its tracks and now just goes straight down.
I mean, fair. Okay. So she did it on purpose.
I guess so. And the fact that she can do it to holy water.
Sure.
Is probably even scarier because she shouldn't be able to control holy
I thought
relics.
It was like a religious thing, like don't touch the priest with the holy water.
Oh.
You know?
No.
Okay.
More like a demon is throwing something at you, and even scarier than it landing on you, he's able to control it.
Fabulous.
Another time she punted a cup of water at him, like punted it like it was a football.
Oh my God.
And all the water stayed in the cup, even when the cup landed on its side.
The fuck?
Over the course of her sessions, she had 67 exorcisms performed on her in 10 months.
Oh my God.
One night, she had a vision. This was the beginning of the end.
Uh-oh.
One night, she had a vision that she saw Mary, like the mother of God. Mm-hmm. And they walked around together, even though at this point, she was so weak she couldn't stand on her own. Mm-hmm. But she was able to just waltz around with the mother of God.
Listen, she's a mother of God.
She's a mother of God. So Mary told her, there are so many souls that are on their way to hell, and someone must pay penance for them, and asked Mary if she would be willing to suffer so that others didn't have to go to hell. And she would be given 3 days apiece to make her decision, but after that she needed to make a decision. And whatever she chose, Mary promised her, I will come and expel the demons, and by July something will happen.
What the fuck?
Apparently that's what happened.
Oh my God.
So Mary thought for 3 days. And of course, during these 3 days of peace that Mary promised her.
Wait, her name's also Mary?
No, Mary promised her this. Mary, the mother of God.
You said Mary thought for 3 days. That's what I was going to
Oh, shit. My bad. Anneliese decided,
sorry,
after 3 days, like in those 3 days where she got to like make a choice, for not being able to walk around or anything, she was the most active, happy. Like, it was like nothing had ever been there. She was waltzing around, jumping around, being super active, being happy, like entertaining her family.
Yeah.
And like nothing had ever been there. So by the 3rd day, she decides that she's going to suffer for others. And Father Renz and Pastor Alt use this information to help cast out the demons. So on June 30th, the last day of June, it's also the last exorcism. And they told the demons, you have to leave now. The mother of God is ordering you to do so. The demons appeared weaker than they ever have before, as if paralyzed from doing anything or being able to do anything. So Father Renz said, you must leave. I order you to. And they said back, we won't leave. He would begin to cast them out anyway. He was going to at least try. And to be sure he was successful, every time one of them got cast out, he would tell them to say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. So The Lord of what?
The Lord is with thee.
I probably spelled it wrong.
Oh,
I'm Jewish.
I was just trying to
Look at you. No, you're more Catholic than me.
I fucked it up.
So, anyway, so he said, you have to say this as I cast you out so I know that you're actually gone. Mm-hmm. And Anneliese, after this command, Anneliese's body wailed out an inhuman scream that was, quote, inordinately disturbing, with distressing babble surrounded by echoes, screams, whispers, sneers, groans, and laughs all at once.
Oh, my God.
Wrens demanded that they meet Mary, Mother of God, when she arrived, and that the priests began to sing the hymn Magnificent to welcome her into the room. Mm. The demons began to scream in pain and terror that he has never heard before, and they were screaming out of Anneliese's body, she is coming, she is coming.
Oh.
So I guess they could sense that Mary was on her way.
Yeah.
The priests say that they've never heard screams that in pain before out of all demons they've ever encountered. Mm-hmm. And the priests dropped to their knees and began welcoming Mary to show herself. Father Wrens began casting out each demon, the last one being Lucifer. And at the end of this, we will say a link or we'll post it somewhere, but all of the recordings of this session are
they're not.
Somewhere.
You're kidding me.
They can be found. Anneliese can be heard after all of this, after Lucifer is finally cast out with the rest of them. Anneliese can be heard saying, I'm completely free now. 10 minutes later, they're still praying, and all of a sudden the demons start showing up again in pained screams and giggling at the same time.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And they say, we want to leave, but we're not allowed. On tape, you can hear Anneliese tell Wrens to beg for absolution, and looks at her mom and says, Mother, I'm afraid. That night, she fell asleep and died.
Wait, what?
And it happened on July 1st, the day that Mary predicted, because something would happen by July.
Wait, she died?
She died at 68 pounds.
The fuck?
And she was 23 years old.
What the fuck? Mm-hmm. Did they have IVs back then? They should have fucking put her on an IV.
So, Pastor Alt believes that despite the demons actually wanting to leave because of the exorcism, Anneliese accepting her fate for suffering for others may have bound them to her. The family doctor came the next morning and saw her body, and due to her sunk-in eyes, bruises and sores on her face from falling, broken kneecaps, and chipped teeth from hitting the wall and stone floor every time she fell, he told police that that Anneliese did not die of natural causes, but dehydration and malnutrition. So Anneliese's parents and the priests were charged and convicted of negligent manslaughter, saying her condition was not possession, but a combination of mental illness and fanatical encouragement of her religious beliefs.
Oof.
So they ended up going to court for this. So it was basically a doctors versus priest courtroom.
Right.
Science versus religion, which is always fun.
Yeah, that's standard.
And it's the only time that a legitimate defense was demonic possession.
That the only time ever?
As far as I know.
Wow.
That was actually taken seriously.
Wow.
And the priests used the recordings and the tapes as proof to be like, look, you can clearly hear that's not her. Mm-hmm. The priests, they basically said, like, regardless of her condition, like, they brought in doctors and said, had she been fed at all a week earlier, she would have been able to survive. So the priests were sentenced to negligent manslaughter for 6 months in jail with 3 years probation, but the jail time was dropped. After the trial, the Roman Catholic Church confiscated the tape recordings from the public. So they're very hard to come by, but on YouTube, if you add up all the minutes on all the videos of recording that you can find, there's about 100 minutes of audio that have somehow leaked out over time.
Yeah.
Later, in 1978, a nun told her parents that she had a vision that revealed that Anneliese's body was still totally intact under her underground, which would suggest supernatural character of her body and prove that the priests and family weren't guilty. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, it hadn't decayed at all.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't decayed, then that was definitely supernatural.
It's a very Catholic thing.
And so the parents requested that her body be exhumed in 1978, although they used different reasons. They were like, oh, we want to give her a different coffin. I don't know. Sure. So medical experts, after they exhumed her, say that the body had been consistently decomposing with a normal rate of decay. And however, photos were never released, and neither the parents or the priests were allowed to see the body. So some think that because they were able to move the body by her arms and legs and they didn't fall off, her body hadn't decayed as much as it should have, which means that the nun might have been right. And they didn't want to release photos because they didn't want to be proven. They didn't want to like prove that they were wrong. Doctors now say that the body still showed normal signs of decay. And now that psychiatry is better, she was not possessed, but displayed signs of dissociative disorder such as DID, or more commonly multiple personality disorder.
Sure.
Or schizophrenia. Because if you look back, her symptoms were dystonia, which is like having rigid positions, hearing threatening voices, seeing things that aren't there, using the first person plurally, dilated pupils, amnesia, knowledge of distinct personalities in your mind that don't actually exist, persistent symptoms despite medication, depersonalization, which is like basically feeling like your body is being controlled by something else. So in 1999, they changed the Ritual Romanum of 1614. It was abolished officially by the church, which is 20 years after she died. So it's like it didn't really help at all. But
Right.
Her case was a big case that like convinced religious people that like you can't keep saying people are possessed and might be mental illness. So the Vatican City introduced the new and updated version called The Exorcism for the Upcoming Millennial. Or Jesus, let me see that again. Millennial.
That's me, rose gold.
In English, it's The Exorcism for the Upcoming Millennium. So it's basically updates that go
For the next
300
years,
years, who knows? But basically suggests that like you have to be aware of mental illness. And so now if someone wants an exorcism, they have to go through all these psychiatrists and all these doctors to prove that only supernatural things are happening to them.
That's interesting because...
But people say that the new version, because they also took out different parts about the devil and everything, the new version apparently isn't as powerful as the original was when it comes to exorcising a person.
Oh.
So a lot of people in that industry, I don't know, in that field, they don't like that they have to use that version now.
That's really interesting. Because, I mean, you do think about, like, if they were using something from the 1600s, like, how backwards things were and how,
I know.
You know, you could be a woman who had a job and people were like, you're a witch because you have too much power, you know? So it's interesting to, like...
It's weird that even though it's so backwards, it's somehow still more effective.
Yeah, that is. That's really interesting. What the fuck, dude?
So there's... that
I'll tell
story.
you, that movie fucked me up when I was young.
Yay! Christine, I've been having so many milkshakes now that we've got a blender in your house.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I am just gaining weight like crazy, and I'm trying to hashtag shed for the wed.
Oh, yeah, shed for the wed. Me too. My wed, by the way.
Hashtag I love lamp. And, and honestly, it's actually helping me a lot because now I'm using HelloFresh.
Oh, perfect.
And it's like really helping me like figure out what I'm putting in my body, and because I'm actually cooking the whole meal.
I think maybe I should just make my whole bridal party eat HelloFresh for the next year.
Oh, well, maybe. You could offer it.
That's not Bridezilla, right?
Well,
No?
HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that makes cooking more fun so you can focus on the whole experience, not just the final plate. So I'm actually paying attention to what I'm eating, and it's just helping me out. Help me, on the teeter-totter of HelloFresh to milkshakes, I'm breaking even.
Absolutely. HelloFresh creates new delicious recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take around only 30 minutes for everyone from novices to seasoned home cooks who are short on time.
Yeah, not kidding. When I've made my HelloFresh meals, it has taken me no time at all, it seems. Like, it blows by, and I don't feel like I'm wasting time in the kitchen when I come home from work. Like, I just want to have my meal.
Well, it's faster than delivery, too. I mean...
It is. And it's less than $10 a meal.
Oh, that's the best part.
Per meal. So, I still can't stop talking about those pork tacos I had.
Em literally
rocked my world.
still talks about those damn pork tacos.
And HelloFresh sources the freshest ingredients, so I know that what I'm putting in my body is good.
Totally.
I feel like I'm not, either breaking the budget or breaking the diet.
Absolutely. And they make sure to measure everything to the exact quantity. There's no food waste, so you get every amount that you need, which is just amazing because, there's no excess waste. You don't feel like you have to toss anything. Everything is included, and it's a perfect amount. And it just makes a great, perfect meal.
It's just really, really, really good.
So if you want to get your own HelloFresh delivery, which, by the way, you do.
You do.
You can use our promo code, which is DRINK30.
Drink 30.
Yes.
Oh, man.
DRINK30. And that will be $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Visit HelloFresh.com and enter DRINK30.
And that's why we drink.
And that is why we drink.
And that's why we eat.
And that's why we eat.
At HelloFresh.
At HelloFresh.com. All right. Happy Halloween. Ready?
Yes.
This is the story of the Axman of New Orleans.
Cool. I don't know what that is.
Oh, seriously?
No, I don't, but I know that New Orleans has some pretty cool stories coming out of it.
Listen, I've
And
been
an Axeman sounds dangerous.
getting my box of wine.
Neat.
I've been saving this one.
Have you? Mm-hmm. Just like I've been saving mine? It's like we knew.
Yeah.
Aw.
Because I thought Halloween is a special time.
It is. It's also hot as fuck in here.
Can we talk about how it was 104 degrees today? Everybody?
It feels like 104 degrees right fucking now. Is that God telling us to put the AC on?
That's my mommy.
It's for Nada?
Okay. This is the story of the Axman of New Orleans.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so I just want to warn you guys that this one's a little bit gory and fucked up. I mean, not that... What? Yeah, listen.
Just be ready.
It's episode 39. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Let's crack into it.
Blood from Christine. Poorly informed me. Just bad notes on my end. I don't know which team you're on. Team Blood and Gory or Team Unprofessional M? But you came for one of the two
I'm
things.
pretty sure everyone's on Team Geo, so
Oh, right, yeah.
let's stop kidding
We're
ourselves.
just the puppets.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this story begins on May 22nd, 1918 in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Alrighty.
An Italian grocer named Joseph Maggio and his wife Catherine were asleep in their beds when a man chiseled out a panel in their back door, broke into their home, and cut their throats with a straight razor. He then proceeded to take an axe and bash their heads in.
Shut the fuck up.
Catherine died of her throat wound, which was so deep that her head was nearly severed from her shoulders.
Holy shit.
Joseph, her husband, despite his head being bashed in with an axe, somehow survived the attack, but died minutes after his two brothers discovered them 2 hours later.
Oh.
When police arrived, they found a pile of bloody clothes that belonged to the murderer, who had obviously changed into a clean outfit after he had attacked the couple.
Uh-huh.
Police ruled out robbery because nothing had been taken by the killer. The only clue they discovered was a message that had been written in chalk near the grocery store that the man of the house had owned. Uh-huh. And the message in chalk read, "Mrs. Joseph Maggio will sit up tonight. Just write Mrs. Tony." So it was a mysterious message they found in chalk.
Especially because Mrs. Joe Maggio had her head knocked off, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, she's not sitting up,
Nope,
right?
she was a goner.
Okay.
So the razor used to cut the couple's throats was later found in a neighbor's lawn and was determined to belong to Andrew Maggio, who is Joseph's brother.
Oh, boy.
He owned a barber shop nearby. One of his employees told police that Andrew had taken the razor from the shop 2 days prior to the murder, allegedly to have a nick honed from the blade. Mm-hmm. So he said he had to take it home, which kind of reminds me of like The Grinch Stole Christmas, where he's like, I have to take this back to Santa's workshop.
Be right back.
To take it. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. Okay, so in addition to this, like the blade being from his barbershop, the police found Andrew suspicious because he claimed to have discovered the bodies after hearing strange groaning noises coming through the wall because he lived in the bedroom. He slept in the bedroom next door. But he said he didn't hear the break-in itself or the axe hacking or any of that because he was too drunk.
Okay.
Because he had just joined the Navy and I guess he was out celebrating. He became the prime suspect, but investigators couldn't find any ties to his brother's death. And they weren't able to actually, keep him for any reason. So they let him go.
Okay.
On June 27th, 1918, Louis Bessemer, the owner of a grocery store in New Orleans, and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, were asleep in his home, which was located in the back room of the grocery store, when a man came in and attacked them with a hatchet. Bessemer was hit above his right temple, and Lowe was hacked over her left ear. Around 7 a.m. that morning, John Zanka, who was the driver of a bakery wagon, discovered their bodies. He found them unconscious in a puddle of their own blood, and when police investigated, they found the axe that had been used in the bathroom. They also discovered that the axe belonged to Bessemer himself, so someone had come and taken his own axe and attacked him and his mistress with it. They immediately arrested Louis Obicon, a 41-year-old African-American man who had actually worked for Bessemer at the grocery store, and he had given conflicting accounts of where he was during the attack, so they arrested him. But police determined that the only plausible explanation for the attacks was robbery, and since nothing was taken from the home or the grocery store, they weren't able to prove that Obicon had done anything, so he was released.
Okay.
And that's when media turned its attention to Bessemer, the grocery store owner himself. They found a series of letters written in German, Russian, and Yiddish in a trunk in his home. So obviously police decided he's a German spy.
Oh, right, yeah.
Sure. So Harriet Lowe, his mistress, was still alive, and she was going in and out of consciousness. And so she started doing this thing where she started giving just like these accounts to police that didn't
make sense. Or?
Yeah, and she would like change her mind all the time. So she originally said, "Oh, it was I'm just gonna say she said it was a dark-skinned man."
Gotcha.
And then she immediately was like, "No, actually, it was Louis himself."
Oh, so she was like you couldn't like follow her own story.
Yeah, she just would like keep changing her narrative of what happened.
Right.
So she basically said, "No, it was Louis." And then she goes, "Yeah, he's definitely a German spy." So police...
That part we can be sure of.
Yeah. So police were like, "Okay, we believe you." So they arrested him, and then 2 days later, they released him, and 2 investigators, actually, because of this whole debacle, were demoted due to unacceptable police work.
Oh, all right.
Months later, Harriet was dying from a failed surgery to like fix, because her face had been paralyzed by the attack.
Oh.
So she had gotten a surgery to try and fix her face.
Shit.
I know. And so the surgery was botched and she was dying. And she told police that Bessemer had once attacked her with his hatchet, so he was the one who had done it. But then police were like, "Wait, so how did he attack himself with a hatchet?"
Right.
And then move the hatchet outside of
the...
It just didn't make any sense. So basically he was basically a jury deliberated for 10 minutes and was like, this is not his fault. So...
Right. 10 minutes already seems too long to me.
10 minutes.
They should have just all shook their heads together and be like, no.
Everyone was like, "Can we go home now, please?" Yeah. So on August 5th, 1918, 28-year-old... Okay, listen. This is what I have to say.
Tell me.
Her name is, in all of these stories, Mrs. Schneider.
Okay.
She has no first name.
Okay.
Okay.
We're all on board.
Just got to tell you.
All right.
On August 5th, 1918, 28-year-old Mrs. Schneider woke up to find a dark figure standing over her bed.
Okay. If this were my story, it'd be a ghost.
I was going to say, everyone's fucking nightmare, and you hope it's sleep paralysis.
You pray to God.
Listen, I need a drink. Hold on.
Oh.
It always sounds like I'm peeing.
It certainly does.
All right.
It will later, too.
I will not bring the microphone in for that. Okay. Okay.
Mrs. Schneider is the opposite of a spinster in her early 20s.
Mrs. Schneider. She is waking up to a dark figure standing over her bed. The figure bashes her face repeatedly with an axe.
Fuck. How do we know that she woke up to him? Are we like just using like artistic license there? Like maybe she just was sleeping and someone killed her. And then the cops were like, "Oh, well, she woke up to him."
Let me tell you.
Oh, wow.
Before fleeing the scene, Mrs. Schneider was 8 months pregnant.
No.
Her husband came home late from work that night to discover his wife. Her scalp had been cut open and her face was covered in blood.
Shit.
But she survived. And she remembered waking up to a man hovering over her bed with an axe.
Oh, no.
She gave birth to her daughter 2 days later, and the baby was healthy and survived.
Okay, 1, brava. 2, can you imagine, like, literally a splitting headache, and you have to give birth to a human child?
Listen, people are like,
like labor couldn't be that bad. Oh, well, how about half your head is off of your face?
people are like, childbirth is the worst pain you'll ever feel. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, but also you've never been hit in the face with an axe.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of times where something really shitty will happen to me, and I'm like, you know what? At least this didn't happen and this happened. Like,
It's the worst combination of things. You have to get hit in the face with an axe, get your skull split open in your brain, and then deliver a child through your vagina.
and 2 days later, like that's like you have not started healing yet. Like,
like,
you don't, your face, for like, is it even there to begin healing?
Well, and her scalp was totally split open.
Fuck.
Well, and they say like trauma sometimes like instigates birth, so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Well, that was a lot of fucking trauma. I'm surprised she didn't just go into labor.
She didn't have like 10 babies at once.
What,
No, that's not how it works.
Your head falls off and you just clone 10 of them inside of you.
I'm sorry, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
You're just a fucking Xerox machine all of a sudden.
But
Pop out a litter.
But I agree. I'm surprised she didn't like immediately go into labor. But I guess
know.
2 days is like pretty standard.
You would
like,
think with the adrenaline coming out of you.
But I guess if you go unconscious and then wake back up, you know.
Fair. She deserved to go unconscious for a little bit after what she went through.
I'm not challenging her labor schedule.
No, honestly, no woman's allowed to complain anymore.
Never.
It's like, okay,
especially.
maybe do it with half your face gone.
Oh my God.
24 hours
it's
ago.
It's the worst fucking thing. Okay. 5 days later, on August 10th, 1918, Pauline and Mary Bruno awoke to loud noises coming from their uncle Joseph Romano's room, and they were his nieces, and they lived with him, and he was an elderly man.
Aww.
So they entered the room to find their uncle with a severe blow to his head and the attacker fleeing the scene. They described him as a dark-skinned, heavy-set man in a dark suit and slouched hat. Romano somehow was able to walk outside to the ambulance, but he died 2 days later due to severe head trauma.
Jesus Christ. This guy keeps almost killing people,
Yeah.
and then they just die from the injuries later.
He's like leaving them like half alive, basically.
Is that on purpose, or is he really like, it's like he's that kid on like the baseball team who just really wants to get a home run, but like barely hits it every time. It's like, oh, let me just crack you in the head, but you never die. Every single time you don't die.
I mean, some of them die.
Later. The only person who died was the first one, right?
Was that it?
This guy just seems to not have like the right swing. Not that I should like be saying, oh, try harder. And also, if two girls catch you in the act, why are you running out the window? Why don't you chase them with your axe?
Listen, nobody knows.
I feel like I'd be a better murderer.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, not like happily. I'm just saying, like, if we're going on accuracy, I would strategically be better.
I mean, like, if I had to be. Okay. Let's see. So he died 2 days later due to severe head trauma. Police found a bloody axe in the backyard, as well as a panel on the back door that had been chiseled away.
Huh.
So at this point in New Orleans, extreme hysteria took over for obvious reasons. So what people would do, family members would take turns sleeping so they could keep watch in case someone was trying to break in.
But also, where do you like pay attention? Like your non-chiseled panels and hope that they stay the same way?
Just like,
If you have an axe, why aren't you chopping down the door?
listen,
This guy's not doing it right.
I mean, he's doing something right.
I mean, he's doing like enough.
He's chiseling some panels and no one's noticing.
And tapping on some faces, I guess.
Tapping them real light. So neighborhood watch parties swept the city in search of the Axeman, but to no avail. A retired Italian detective named John D'Antonio made a public statement asserting that the killer was an individual of dual personalities
Oh my.
who killed without motive and would sometimes be seen like a normal or who would sometimes seem like a normal law-abiding citizen, but would kind of snap and go into an altered state where he would need to be violent. He called him a real-life Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, wow.
Some people started to speculate, I mean, again, it's the early 20th century, that the killer wasn't human at all, but an actual demon or a ghoul.
I would be probably the first person to signal that approach.
You and I would be...
We would be the worst journalists in the early... First of all, we would change the lives, though. We would start a revolution. We'd be like, it's a ghost. And back then there wasn't Google, so people would be like, oh, well, it's a ghost.
Oh, for sure.
We would definitely be the whistleblowers.
Oh, we would have, like, a newspaper devoted to just...
We'd have, like, the first version of The Onion.
Oh, yeah,
but we would also believe everything we're writing.
But we'd think it was real.
Yeah. We would basically just be the jesters of the town, wouldn't we?
That's so sad.
Like, we really believe in ourselves. That's all that matters.
We think everyone believes in us, but really we just believe in ourselves.
You know, we're just doing a more modern version of that with this podcast.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Oh, full circle.
Don't shatter all my hopes and dreams. So we're modern day jesters is what you're saying.
We're just fools.
We're just fools.
In love. Wait, what?
Oh, what?
With other people.
Nope.
With Geo.
With Geo.
Geo's the Venn diagram of our love. We love Geo and he loves dead animals that he can roll around on.
And therefore, the Venn diagram of our love is...
It just splits hairs more and more.
There's just dead animals involved. Okay. Okay. So people thought it might be an actual demon. AKA we thought that in our past lives.
AKA I still do.
When we were like journalists, quote unquote.
Right.
Sure.
Except in the 1900s, didn't we already confirm that we were somewhere else?
Where were we?
In a past episode, you were an alligator and I was a clown, and I left you in a hotel. Remember? Why do you remember? That was the best life we ever had.
It was just so funny. Everyone was like, "Isn't a bull alligator just a grown-up alligator?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what."
Listen, we don't know math, we don't know geography, we don't know animals. All we know is box wine, milkshakes, and Geo, and that's why we started this podcast.
We're not claiming to know what type of alligator is.
We're not claiming to know anything except what is on the paper in front of us.
Again,
do not expect more from us than that.
I know I use this excuse a lot, but there is a plunger less than 2 feet away from our faces.
I thought you were going to use your other common excuse of English isn't even my first language.
I have multiple excuses, and I can pull them out at any time.
I don't. I was just lazy growing up, and this is the consequences I have to live with. This is what happens when you don't care about school. You just kind of end up at a podcast, and that's the height of your career.
Oh. Anyway. All right. They thought it was a demon.
The end.
Here we go. Listen. This is where Em's and my story ends in the 1910s and where the real story begins. Things get quiet for a while. The city eases into a sense of security. But on March 10th, 1919, neighbors heard screams coming from the Cortemelia residence in a suburb of New Orleans called Gretna, Louisiana. A grocer who lived across the street ran over to investigate and found Charles Cortemelia, his wife Rosie, and their 2-year-old daughter Mary all attacked by an unknown intruder. Rosie was standing in the doorway with a gaping head wound, holding her 2-year-old daughter who had already died of her injuries from an axe. Charles was laying on the floor bleeding from his wounds, and they were rushed to the hospital. It was determined that both had suffered severe skull fractures. Nothing was stolen from the house, but a panel on the back door had been chiseled away.
Fuck.
They found a bloody axe on the back porch as well. When Rosie gained full consciousness, she claimed that Orlando Giordano, who was the guy across the street, the neighbor who had come to like discover their bodies, basically, was the one who had attacked them. But police determined that Orlando was 69 years old, was like not healthy, was too elderly to have committed the crimes, and Frank was more than 6 feet tall and was over like almost 300 pounds. So
right, it just wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah, and they were like, he can't fit through that stupid chiseled panel. There's no way.
Right.
So her husband, Charles, so they both survived the attack, by the way, but the baby didn't. The 2-year-old didn't. She died from an axe wound to the neck. So Charles, her husband, vehemently denied his wife's claims, but police arrested the two and charged them with the murder. Frank was sentenced to hang for the murder, and his father was sentenced to life in prison.
Shit.
So Charles divorced his wife over this after the trial.
I wouldn't blame him.
And almost a year later, Rosie announced that she had falsely accused the two out of jealousy and spite.
So the dad died for nothing?
He had been, this kind of threw me off because I was confused. He had been sentenced to hang, but he hadn't been hanged yet.
Oh, thank God.
So the two men were still in prison and they were released in 1920.
Fuck.
Yeah. But the one with the dad was in his 70s. So
oh, poor guy.
Fucked up. 3 days after the attack on the Cortamilia family, the editor of the New Orleans Times received a letter. An interesting letter.
Oh, my.
You want me to read it to you?
Absolutely, I do.
So this letter is dated March 13th, 1919, and it is from hell.
Oh, from my home. I wrote this.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I didn't.
Esteemed mortal of New Orleans, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell.
Oh, no.
I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe besmeared with blood and brains of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. There are a couple of paragraphs in between there that I'm going to skip because they're just like... Okay.
Too much?
They're just... No, they're not even. They're just kind of like, okay, we get it. You're like...
You got it. You're top dog.
You're like Satan's hellhound, whatever.
Got
okay.
it.
So this is where it gets interesting. Now, to be exact, at 12:15, parentheses, earthly time.
Oh, Christ alive.
Sure. It's, not hell time.
Sure. Right. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that there was a time zone in hell that we're not listening to.
Oh, yeah, for sure, Em.
My bad.
On next Tuesday night, I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I'm going to make a little proposition to you people.
Fucking A.
Do you have any idea what it is? You really don't know the story.
I really don't know the story. Is it something incredibly stupid?
It's really great.
Is it gross? Is it horrible?
No, it's not gross.
What?
Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music.
Jesus Christ.
And I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned.
So it's like the Purge, but instead of having like a I support the Purge flag, it's like let's listen to jazz music.
Like a jazz band. Yeah.
Jesus. You get... Okay. I got a lot of things to say. Let's just move on.
If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then, so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it out on that specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe.
He's just like, okay, you know how in La La Land Ryan Gosling was just so desperate for people to care about jazz music? This is just fucking 10 years later. This is just, he's desperate.
So this is like Ryan
This
Gosling.
is the sequel to La La Land.
No, the prequel.
No, the sequel, because, maybe the prequel.
I mean...
The spinoff.
The spin-off to La La Land.
The La La Land. You know how like The Lion King, they had 1 and then 2 and then 1.5? This
You're right.
La La Land 1.5.
It's like Ryan Gosling's former life.
Yeah.
Where he didn't
Before
know
he
how
changed
to,
his name to Ryan Gosling of La La Land.
and he didn't know how to like control his emotion. Okay, I get it.
You see where I'm going.
La La Land 1.5. Okay. Now I'm just picturing this guy as Ryan Gosling. It's really fucking me up. Okay. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and it is about time I leave your earthly home, I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or realm of fancy. The Axman.
Well, we've had like 100 more years of horrible people, so wrong.
So
but still bad.
I mean, pretty fucking bad. Definitely.
Anyway, how many people listened to jazz that night?
The whole city of New Orleans
Is that why New Orleans listens to jazz?
I mean, I think it was already a jazz capital.
That would be a horrible history to why people love jazz. It's just to stay alive.
I think it was already a cultural thing, but basically the whole city was booming with jazz that night. Every house was blasting it. Every restaurant, people were out like in every bar blaring it. And there was a guy who actually wrote an actual jazz piece that got really popular about the Axeman based on that night. People have called it the loudest night in New Orleans history.
Wow.
Because the whole city was just blasting jazz music. And no one was murdered that night.
Well, that's nice.
So everyone was like, oh my God, we did it. We got rid of this demonic guy. Wrong.
Always wrong.
Always wrong. Listen, Em.
Tell me.
Everyone's always wrong.
Everyone
but us.
Well, here we are.
On August 10th, 1919, an Italian grocer named Steve Bocca woke up in the middle of the night to see an axe-wielding figure above his bed. He lost consciousness. When he woke up, he ran into the street to investigate the intrusion and realized all of a sudden that his head had been cracked open.
Shit.
He ran to his neighbor's house and collapsed. They called the police. Nothing was taken from the home, and a panel on the back door had been chiseled away.
Wow, as if this MO is not already obvious.
Nope. He survived but couldn't remember anything from the attack. Less than a month later, a young woman named Sarah Lauman was attacked in her bed. She had a head injury so severe it had knocked out several of her teeth. It looked like the attacker had entered the apartment through an open window. She also survived but could not remember any details. On October 27th, 1919, a man named Mike Pepitone was attacked in his bedroom. His wife heard a commotion. They had 6 kids, so they were next door, in the room next door. She heard a commotion and came running, only to see the room covered in blood, his blood, and there was blood all over a painting of the Virgin Mary on the wall.
Oh, that's not good.
No. So she called the police, and Mike Pepitone did not survive, and he passed away.
No.
And after this, the Axeman's attacks ended just as suddenly as they had begun, and he was never seen or heard from again.
Oh, shit.
So here are some theories as to the suspects. A crime writer named Colin Wilson believes the Axeman was a man named Joseph Momfrey, who was shot to death in Los Angeles in December of 1920 by the widow of that Pepitone guy I just mentioned.
Oh, wow.
With the 6 kids.
Hell hath no fury.
Mm-hmm. But another true crime writer named Michael Newton searched all public, police, and court records, newspaper archives, etc., and could not find any evidence of this guy being killed or assaulted. Could not even find evidence of the woman being in California where they say she had shot him. So it's really debated because people are like, there's zero record of any of this happening. A woman named Miriam C. Davis, who was interviewed by Vice, wrote a historically accurate book called The Axman of New Orleans, The True Story. And she said her belief is that the Axeman was a native-born white laborer who had a grudge against Italians who had been leaving day labor behind to become small businessmen due to like envy or anxiety. Right. Because a lot of the people attacked were grocers.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. Or he could have had some sort of like negative connection. He might have been sent to jail by an Italian grocer.
Yeah,
or something.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm. So this guy was actually featured as a character in American Horror Story Coven.
Okay.
I don't know.
He was? I didn't know that. Well, I also didn't watch the show.
Oh, okay. I don't know what season.
Coven is the which one?
I'm too scared of that.
I think it's season 3.
Okay. I don't know anything. So this is why police are still confused. People who described the attacker would describe a large, hulking man, like in a hat and a suit and whatever. But the openings that had been chiseled in the panels were so small that police couldn't understand how a full-sized man could fit through. Right. Let alone like a big hulking person.
Right.
And the doors, like the back doors, were always locked from the inside. So the person whoever...
So he went in and out of that little hole.
That freaking hole. And nobody knows how he got in and out aside from that stupid little hole. There were even theories that the killer might actually be like a really small woman or even a little person.
Oh.
But nobody could figure out, how to like reconcile people's visual memory
Right,
of
because
what happened.
everyone was seeing how big and hulking they were.
Yeah, exactly. So again, the public, basically, this is again in the early 20th century, the public was like, oh, it's a demon,
Fair.
So that was obviously reinforced by the letter that the perpetrator wrote that was like, oh, I'm coming from hell. Hello, it's me.
I'm in hell dreaming about who we used to be.
Hello.
God, it's our second reference to Adele, huh?
What was our first?
The episode that Alison was in.
Oh, I thought you meant our second today.
No. In history.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably like our 100th of all time, for sure. Okay. Some people even thought that it might be Jack the Ripper, like the same person.
Really?
Because the letter that was sent into the newspaper had a lot of striking similarities to the letter Jack the Ripper sent.
Ooh, shit.
So that was an interesting thing that some people still believe to this day, that it was the same person.
Could have been.
So this is what is known, is that the killer preferred to chisel away door panels, yet the panels were too small to account for the physical descriptions people gave to police. And the chiseling away at a door seemed to be very strange, tedious, slow, and inefficient for breaking into a home and then leaving a home.
Right.
Especially if the person hadn't even died. You know what I mean?
Right.
What you said, he left people alive. So the other thing was that he would always leave the chisel behind, which meant he had to buy a new chisel every time he broke into a home. And he always took the axe from the home of the person that he was killing or attacking.
Think you ever went to a house and then saw they didn't have an axe and then was like, well, and then left?
And then like unchiseled his panel.
Yeah, I was like, never mind. I guess this one can stay.
I know. It's crazy. So nobody understands like how he knew. And I read one article that was like, well, to be fair, like axes were much more common then than like guns are now and things. But still, it's just such a weird thing. It is unclear why he had chosen an axe rather than like a knife or another, like a hammer or something else that was around, because it's just as bloody, And he never left a fingerprint ever. They always checked for fingerprints. He had never left one fingerprint.
Wow.
Never left any sort of evidence. And as to motive, they couldn't think of anything but the fact that there was this connection with Italian grocers.
Right.
And at the time, it was like a culturally sensitive thing, the Italian immigrant population. So the only thing they could connect was the Italian immigrant grocers, but most experts believe it was not like a mafia thing because it was not organized crime, and there were also several victims who weren't associated with
the mob.
And also the mob had strict rules about hurting children and women, so it just didn't seem to fit. So yeah, basically nobody knows who the fuck this guy is, and then he just vanished and no one could ever figure it out.
Shit.
I know.
Well, luckily he's probably dead. Most likely he's very dead.
He's got to be, right?
I mean, my math isn't that great, obviously, so.
I mean, I'm scared to go to bed,
I would think once you've hit 99, before we even, include your age, you're probably dead.
Once you hit 99, what?
Because the story was from 1918, right?
Oh,
so it's 99 years before we even put in the fact that you're older than 0.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to think he's dead.
He's definitely dead, but now I'm going to have nightmares.
Neat.
So that's that.
Happy Halloween Eve, guys.
Listen, happy Halloween.
Yes.
We are releasing a Patreon special for Patreon donator. I keep saying donators and people keep making fun of me.
Donors.
Thank you.
We're releasing an episode.
For donors.
And then also on Halloween, something special will be happening. I still can't talk about it because on this day that it comes out is the day that Christine finds out what the surprise is.
I still don't understand what's happening.
As you're listening to this, Christine is learning what's going to happen. But it will all be taken care of by Halloween.
I'm so excited.
So you have 2 days to be excited.
I'm excited.
And then next week you will hear us on Baby G's B-Day.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
We're going to have a big fat party for him.
I'm so excited.
So there's that. Thanks guys for listening. You can find us on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, ATWWD podcast. You can find our website, and that's why we drink.com. You can find our merch store and that's why we drink.bigcartel.com. You can find our Patreon, ATWWD podcast. You can find our email, and that's why we drink at gmail.com, where you can write in your listeners' stories. We do listeners' episodes at the first of every month. Is there anything else?
You're so talented.
It's literally the only thing I know how to do after 40 fucking episodes.
That's all I have. That's all I have.
That's all I have.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
And that's why we drink.
We're going to try and clink?
Yeah, I bet it's not going to work.
And that's why we clink.
Oh, how did we never come up with that? Okay. No, that's why, because it sounds fucking stupid.
Oh, hang on.
Who use this?
Oh, yeah. But do it from the tip, remember?
Okay.
One,
and that's why we drink.
3.
Oh, that's stupid. I'm not good at this. And that's why we drink.
That's better.
That was good.
Bye.
Bye.